Hello, my crafty friend, and thank you so much for joining me in today's junk journal flip through video. I have returned to one of my all-time favorite themes and aesthetic styles, which is a crystal themed journal in bright, vibrant colors, dripping with jewels, and utilizing some of my favorite crystal healing energies. So the book comes with a detachable boho tassel, and this just kind of makes it look a little bit more full and gives it that tactile feeling that I think those of us who love junk journals are into. But I kind of like the way it looks without the tassel as well. It has a really, really beautiful sari fabric, kind of embroidered mandala or chakra style fabric from India that wraps around the back cover. And on the front, I've actually embedded gemstones for all of the 7 major chakras. So amethyst for the crown, tanzanite for the third eye, blue apatite for the throat, peridot for the heart, citrine for the solar plexus, spessartine for the sacral chakra, and then garnet for the root. And these are natural gemstones. I use inlay chips and then kind of framed them with some golden trim on a pocket made of black sari trim so that the colors really pop. And yeah, I just love adding natural crystals to my journals. And on that note, the closure also has a natural crystal piece stuck to it. So it's a wraparound closure. And the crystals on this are, of course, clear quartz, which is an energy amplifier. You can program it with your intention. And whenever you use your clear quartz, after it's been programmed with your intention, it makes your goals easier to realize. And those of us who believe in crystal healing energies will take that literally. You can also take that as kind of a placebo effect, like by energizing it with your intention. Every time you see it, it becomes kind of a talisman for that intention, reminding you of the goal that you've set for yourself. So yeah, beautiful. This is like a really high-grade faceted clear quartz crystal bead on the top. And then this is just a rough tumbled, probably a broken, but quartz crystal that just has a beautiful energy to it. And so inside the pocket, I put a print of a Waterhouse painting showing this beautiful crystal ball gazer staring into her clear quartz, which you can do with yours on this. It's trimmed with some really pretty rhinestone trim. These are not real gems, and those are, obviously. And just a little ruffle of lace to give it more texture. It's backed with this kind of foil paper with a floral motif that I think is just quite lovely. So I'll set those two things aside and we can get into it. But yeah, even with that taken out, isn't this just such a beautiful fabric? I absolutely love bright colors, and it can be tempting for us to work with neutrals or just a minimalistic color palette, but I think there's just something really fun about working with multiple colors and getting into the bright stuff. And so opening the book, the inside cover has one of my favorite things to put into a crystal healing themed journal, and that is an entire deck of crystal affirmation oracle cards. So the pockets are made out of strips of pink sari trim, and I refer to these when I put them in my journals as shelves. So we have 3 shelves to hold our full little oracle deck. And I got super fancy this time and actually spent quite a bit of time. After I printed out this complete little oracle deck, I took a gold paint pen and kind of edged each card in gold to give it that really fancy manufactured look. And the back of the cards is printed from, let's see, the Boho Bohemian Bazaar kit by Medieval Mirage. It's one of my favorite printable designs to back cards like this because it just has a neutral look, but it also looks like it could be made of gemstones in a way. So let's take these as our message for the day. When I'm shuffling cards and then some of them just jump right out of the deck, I always take that to mean there's a message in this for us. So we have Blue Appetite. You are fearlessly moving forward with clarity and communication to speak your truth. Rhodochrosite, you are healing any past wounds while feeling empowered to love yourself in the present moment. Agate, you will prosper with great strength to dissolve obstacles, leading to new ideas and solutions. And Hematite, you are strengthening your connection to Mother Earth with stability and confidence. What beautiful cards. So if you're going through anything difficult right now as far as recognizing your worth, healing past wounds, and learning to speak your truth, speak confidently, and trust your voice, trust in your right to express what it is that you want to say, it looks like existence is reaffirming that with these particular cards. Mother Earth is here to take care of you and protect you. Your obstacles are dissolving. New ideas are going to come your way. And I also want to mention Blue Appetite, as well as being kind of a throat chakra stone. It's also a third eye chakra stone. So when that particular card comes up, I like to think that the message is twofold. So both about communicating and expressing your truth, and also awakening a little bit of your psychic vision, being able to see not only clarity in your communication, but to see whether or not the person to whom you're speaking is receptive, what it is that's most important to communicate in the moment. Appetite is really a stone for intuitive communications. And that's why I used Blue Appetite on the cover here as the throat chakra stone. So it's kind of cool that that comes up. I was also feeling like this particular little journal would be a wonderful gift to self kind of journal for someone if you love crystals and you love spiritual energy and you felt like maybe treating yourself to a mystical gift. This would be a great one. And I also find these little cards can make wonderful journaling prompts. So if you're wondering what to write about, for example, you could pull one of these cards and write down how you feel about the message on the card. So I'll just give an example. Say if I was pulling this one for myself. Aventurine, luck is on your side today as the universe supports you as you create prosperity and well-being. If I were to pull this card for myself, I could write something down like, thank you to the universe for supporting me as I create prosperity. You know, I appreciate that blessing, for example. And the date and which card I drew. It's a great way to get to know all the different crystals and what they represent if this is something that's new to you. And it's also just a fun little interactive element in a journal. Okay, I'm gonna try to go through a little bit more quickly from here. So on this vintage ledger piece, I actually stuck a temporary tattoo, which will be permanent on the paper, with kind of a crystal-y motif, and then glued down a printable of a crystal. On the other side, I did a little crystal wax seal, which I think is just adorable. This first page has wonderful space for writing, especially if you're writing in a gold pen or a gel pen. And if you need a pen, I couldn't resist including one of these beautiful crystal pens. I bought 2 of these. I'm keeping one for myself. It's just so adorable. It's not a real gem, of course. It's just glass. They all had kind of chips in them where I bought them, so it might not be the perfectly shaped little crystal, but it sure does sparkle. And it looks really nice tucked into the pen holder I made on this page. There's an upcycled piece of junk jewelry, just a single earring that goes through this loop to hold it onto the page. And then on the other side, I printed out a picture of Moldavite, the gem for sacred awakenings and transformation. I've read that when you look at pictures of crystals, they can awaken the same energy that actually working with the stone would awaken. So I do believe sticking pictures of crystals in a book like this is almost as good as having the actual crystal. This is some coffee dyed certificate paper with another kind of crystal tattoo, edged in some really pretty sari fringe. On the other side, there's a stamp from Botswana featuring the stone jasper, and that's an original one from 1978, so some vintage ephemera for you. A printable from the paper cameo. Oops. Pardon me for having my pages kind of stuck together. Oops. Well, I might have to kind of fold that a little bit. So what's going to go under this belly band, once the paint dries a little bit, I made a cute little tag booklet, very scrappy, just hand drawn in pencil and then watercolored in, that shows the 12 birthstones. So January garnet, February amethyst, March aquamarine, April diamond, May emerald, June moonstone. June is an interesting one because it can also be pearl, but I prefer to use minerals rather than anything that causes pain to an animal. And because they do kill the oysters, or at least torture them to get pearls, I would much prefer to have a moonstone for June. July ruby, August peridot, September sapphire, October opal. It got a little bit messy and it's still drying. November citrine, and December came out my favorite with the turquoise. So anyway, as soon as that watercolor paint is dry, I'm going to slot that into this belly band here. Probably by the time we're finished this flip through, it'll be ready to put there, so we can have the satisfaction of doing that on camera. So on the other side of that, it's just this really cool foily paper that I love so much. Here we have a little aquamarine cluster that flips up from the page. This is some Sears wallpaper sample from 1928. It has kind of a gold thread motif woven through it. And I picked it because it's called Tiffany Tones. And of course we know Tiffany as a maker of fine jewelry and beautiful silver things, and so it kind of felt like of all the wallpaper bits, the one with the name Tiffany in it would fit best. Pretty gilded or gold sequined purple sari trim tab here. A pretty little amethyst cluster sticker on this pocket that features the first crystal envelope. So there are 12 of these in this book. Each one has a little surprise inside. This one has 2 Bluebird of Happiness stickers. So one to keep, one to share. Really cute, right? And that's just in a pocket made from a vintage French playbook page. This was an exciting find. So while out thrifting, I found a book about rocks and minerals that was from an old elementary school, Milk River Elementary School. So yeah, I wanted to keep this entire little write-up in the book, and I didn't want to cut the beautiful quartz picture. So I made it kind of a fold-out page. And then that holds 2 more of the envelopes. I kept the greens together, the peridot and the emerald. And it's just kind of neat to look at this paper. Milk River Elementary School. So yeah, in the emerald envelope, I put a journaling card of this beautiful Indian queen, covered, just dripping in jewels. Look at all the rubies and the emeralds. And it's just kind of inked around the edges to make it look a little bit more vintage. And then in the peridot envelope, I've put some green crystal sticky notes. So they're kind of like Post-it notes, but they are shaped like cool green crystals. So it's kind of like the stationery that has crystal vibes and crystal energy. These are just little extra bits that you can use to decorate your journal with illustrated crystals and gemstones, part of the printable kit that I used for the main journal pages. And I'm sorry, but I forget the name of the designer and the name of the kit, but I will put that in the video description. These are also from that kit. That's just some vintage music paper. And this is probably the prettiest sari trim bit that I used in this book. It has really heavy crystal and bead and sequin stitching in it. And it just looks so gorgeous. And so yeah, I used that as a tab and also as pockets for those cute little paper pieces. Lots of writing space, all with kind of following that crystal theme. I love this page too, how there's the wheel of astrological information and then a coffee and ink dyed doily that kind of makes it look like a complete circle. That's just some pretty gold sari tab. It flips over if you want to journal beneath it. Could also be used as a tuck spot, I suppose. And then on the other side, there's this beautiful cardstock amethyst print. I just love the way this looks. This could be quite possibly one of my favorite pages, even though it's just so simple. And just a coffee dyed blue paper with that amethyst cutout, but I love amethyst, so it looks really cool. And inside the ruby envelope, I've put a whole little set of miniature stationery pages that have a cute little watercolor crystal design. These are prints from the crystal stationery set made by Priscilla, whose Etsy shop of printables is called Release the Craftin'. So this is an actual vintage envelope. It has castles, it has knights in shining armor, literally shining because it's silver and gold on the stamps. And then I used another Botswana crystal stamp, this one showing citrine. And then that little stamp fell out when I was searching for my crystal stamps. And I decided that because he jumped out, it should be used. And it's a stamp from Greece. And what's kind of cool about that is that Greece, or the Greek word kristallos, is where we get the words crystal. The word crystal, I should say. So I did use the pearl envelope just because it came with my set of 12 crystal envelopes. And I put inside it just this beautiful kind of light pinkish purple gemstone sticky note pad. Lots and lots of sticky notes in this one. I had fun, guys. I had fun filling these little envelopes so that each one had something unique and different. Some journaling space on the back of that envelope and on this pretty page. This is a chart, a conversion chart for measurements out of an architect manual from France from 1912. So that's an antique paper. This pink diamond shaped paper clip is holding the tanzanite envelope. And in the tanzanite envelope, I put a cute little print of snowflakes. And of course, ice crystals are a type of crystal. And so we typically think of seeing something like this, maybe in a Christmas themed journal, maybe in December. But I think it's cool to see how ice crystallizes, especially when it crystallizes in these geometrically symmetrical, really beautiful shapes. It's just something fun to look at. The back is blank, so good for journaling space. I just realized in this particular set, Tanzanite was used as the December birthstone. So here we go, the December birthstone getting the snowflakes. So maybe they were meant to go together after all. These little tags I actually attached right to this vintage mini graph paper with a brad, so they can be twisted away, journaled under, and then each one, of course, can also twist separately. I think they're fun to look at. Lots of cool designs. And then the edge of this paper is perforated, so you could bend it back and forth a couple of times and rip off the staple holes. But in a junk journal, I think it's kind of cool to keep the staple holes and the raw paper edges. This is a vintage book page with really cool characters, either Chinese or Japanese, I'm not sure. If you know, please let me know in a comment. I've been really curious about this paper. So there's a chrysocolla crystal being used as a tuck spot for the sapphire envelope, which I've put some diamond sticky notes into. They don't have to be used as sticky notes that you write on, like Post-its. They could totally also make beautiful additions to collage work. So this brings us to the center. That is some vintage ledger paper, and it folds down and folds down again. So it's a really long piece of ledger. And I tucked into the pamphlet stitch binding another cool circle printed on linen paper that shows a crystal cluster, so that you could take out and kind of glue down somewhere as a decoration if you like. I just thought it was kind of a cute place to stick it. And lots of great journaling space on this ledger. So one of the gifts with purchase of this journal is this really fun vial pendant that I've put on a paper clip. And the vial pendant is actually filled with gemstone chips, exactly like the ones on the cover. So we have amethyst for the crown, this time kyanite for the third eye, blue apatite for the throat. We have chrome diopside, which is a rarer, kind of brighter green for the heart, citrine for the solar plexus, orange garnet, or also called spessartine garnet, for this the sacral chakra, and then garnet again for the root. So you have the permanent chakra gems attached to the book that will kind of activate the energy whenever you use the book. Plus you have this that if you pop it off of the paper clip, it already has the loop or the bail, so you could wear that as a charm or as a pendant with all those chakra healing crystal vibrations. And I thought that would work perfectly just to hold these center pages together. And now we have just the other sides of all these papers. I like using some really pretty kind of sari trim that had shapes reminiscent of crystals. I know they're flowers, but they also kind of look like snowflakes. This geode is holding in the carnelian envelope that I've stuffed with diary pages from a 1968 day planner. One of them being November. Oh yeah, I guess it's citrine. I'm sorry, not carnelian, citrine. So I put one page from November since I thought that would go well with citrine. But of course you can use those to take notes any time of the year. Here's another one of my favorite things in this book. So the paper, I should mention, is coffee dyed. And before I coffee dyed it, I printed it with the Gayatri mantra. So using an upcycled clip-on earring as a paper clip, I have included samples of 3 really beautiful jewel toned fabrics from my friend May, who's in Saudi Arabia. She sent these to me a few months ago and I just love them. I like adding them to the journals I make that have the brightest, most vibrant colors because, like I said, they are definitely jewel tones. And I thought, what better book to add jewel tones into than a book literally about jewels. And I think this one especially looks like maybe strands of golden beads and the gemmy flowers that they're hanging from. And the earring is just costume jewelry, so it's not like they're real stones, but boy does that black onyx looking thing look good with this black fabric. And then all the faux diamonds going around just give it that luxe look. And of course, tons of journaling space here. The other side of that French 1912 engineer's manual. The other side of the Bohemian Bazaar paper. The other side of that envelope, I decorated it with a fluorite printout. In here, I've put the diamond envelope. And in the diamond envelope, you get a set of crystal stickers that are so much fun. They're dimensional. They're made out of resin, so they really stick up and add such a cool texture to wherever you want to stick them down. I've been thinking that when the holiday season comes around, I might like to do an advent calendar journal with 24 little envelopes, each that have fun goodies stuffed in them. So this, 12 birthstone envelopes stuffed with goodies is kind of like a dry run. It would be a very fat journal. And so the black opal envelope has some precious white opal sticky notes. Aren't those pretty? That's what opal looks like. That's what I was going for in my little quick watercolor opal tag. Very pretty. This page actually has an edge trim with real lapis lazuli chips embedded into it. It just looks so gorgeous. And on the other side of that, some floral sari trim. Here we have the other side of that cool astrological chart paper. More of that writing space. The other side of the vintage music paper. So pretty. I love the font of those treble clefs. This page has an amethyst on a little swivelly brad. Lots of journaling space on the book page. A little teeny envelope that has another crystal wax seal on it. And then that opens up. All the way flat, so it's not really glued shut, which means you can use the inside of the envelope for journaling also. And I just printed a couple of little cards that actually came with the envelope set. I printed this half the size that it was made to print at, but by printing it half the size, you get the cute little mini envelope. I've backed it with some Paper Cameo ledger paper, and I just think it looks adorable inside this little envelope. So with some very mystical moons and third eyes and of course crystals in the design. Little mineral biotite info page. The other side of that French book page, this would be a great base for a collage. I decorated the pocket flap with some green sari trim and some really pretty kind of faux diamond trim. There's a vintage nabob ticket for nabob tea bags with the cool little nabob genie. And I thought he kind of fits the book because he has a bejeweled turban. So there's a little bit of crystal healing energy in the nabob genie. We finally reached the garnet envelope. And I stuffed that with some printed crystal stationery and printed down to a miniature size. I printed 9 sheets per page. They're all the same. But this is part of my own printable set in my Etsy shop. It's very cheap. I think I priced it at like $1.25. You get 5 printable stationery paper designs, all just simple line pages like this, each with different crystal designs. This one is the fluorite design, so I put fluorites going down the side border, and I think that's just super cute. You could write little mini letters or little mini notes with it. And then this, I think, is the coolest thing in the book. It's out of a World Book Encyclopedia from the 1970s. There were some books missing from the set, which is why I don't mind, you know, ripping out pages to include in junk journals, but I do sort of covet these pages. I think whoever buys this journal will be really lucky to get these because I only had one set, but I felt like it was worth sharing with. Obviously, whoever buys this will be a gem lover. So if it's you, I hope you just adore this as much as I do. It's the pages in the encyclopedia about gems. So you have the definition of gem, qualities of gem minerals, index of refraction, which is about how the gems radiate light that they absorb and not absorb, but refract and reflect. And then there are illustrations of all the gems. Maybe not all the gems, but bunches of the gems, as well as examples of cuts for diamonds. So yeah, I think this just looks so cool. There's nothing like vintage crystal illustrations for those of us who love crystals and love paper goodies. So yeah, and then it goes on for a little bit more about gems, including imitation and artificial gems. So I think, like I said, I think this is my favorite of the vintage goodies, or maybe even of just all the goodies in this particular journal. Let's put this in here in a way that the little genie sticks up. All right, the other side of that Sears wallpaper. Pretty purple tab. We are nearing the end, my friend. I guess I didn't talk for an hour like I usually do. And you're welcome for that if you're one of my viewers who gets bored. I love the little faux seed pearls and the little flowers of the bouquet of this particular sari fabric flip. And yeah, the very end, so the last page includes a pocket that I sewed right into the book by folding the sari fabric that covers the cover. I just folded the edge over because it had this really cool mesh edge, and I love the way these particular floral pieces look when they get folded over this dark vintage floral liner paper. It's just so pretty. And then the last of the envelopes, it's meant to be aquamarine, but it's a little bit darker blue than that, I think. And it has yet another little set of sticky notes. This time maybe an orange garnet or something. Just really pretties. So yeah, that is it. My crystal healing themed journal, or another crystal healing themed journal, because like I said, this is just one of those themes that I love to return to again and again. I hope you had fun watching this. I hope it inspires you to get crafting, or maybe to get journaling, or if you feel like, and you do deserve it, if you know that you deserve to treat yourself and you love crystals, you're more than welcome to head over to my Etsy shop and claim this one for your own. Let's see. It's dry. It's dry, so I do get to put this little tag book into the belly band where it was intended. Isn't that cute with the little watercolor gems? And my feelings would not be hurt at all if you take it off the bull clip and, or sorry, the bulb pin, and do something else with these tags, maybe collage over them as you wish. But I just thought that was a fun little thing to include, especially as a nice little reference for which gemstone goes for with which month as far as the birthstones are concerned. So yeah, that is it. Thank you so much for tuning in. Oh, before I forget, the ring that is a gift with purchase. So these are not real gemstones. I can tell by touching them, they're just plastic. But I found this ring while I was out thrifting for jewelry to use as add-on pieces to journals, and I knew I had to include it in a journal that features chakra gems, because how cool is that? It's made to look like chakra gems. So you get a pendant with genuine chakra crystals. You get the genuine chakra crystals in the book cover, and then a ring that looks like chakra crystals, even though they're not. And you could totally somehow like incorporate that into the book to keep it as part of that design. Anyway, that was it. Thank you so much again for watching. So much love to you. Happy crafting, happy journaling. I'll put a link to my Etsy shop in the video description if you decide that you are the intended keeper of the little crystal healing journal. And I look forward to reading your comment. If you feel like leaving one, please do. Like, subscribe, comment. That really helps my channel get boosted in the YouTube algorithm, which is always nice, I think, so that we can share with more crafty friends. Okay, before I start babbling and extending the goodbye, thank you again for watching. Bye for now.